Good morning. It's Friday, June 23rd. This is To My Liberal Friends. Well, the 2024 presidential race is in full swing, and both parties have concerns about who will be leading their ticket. The Republican field seems to grow each day, and this week we saw two more names thrown into the field. Former Congressman Will Hurd from Texas announced that he's running for the presidency, and he followed the announcement of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. And that brings the field to at least a dozen, and party strategists are growing concerned that this only favors former President Donald Trump. He holds a sizable lead in the polls. I should note it's shrunk in the last 2 weeks after his latest indictment. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis comes in a distant second, and the rest of the vote is split among contenders and non-contenders. With the way politics go today, there's almost no downside to running for president. Some do it just to see their name mentioned for the nation's highest office, knowing they have no chance of winning. Others are in the race hoping to siphon off votes from Trump or attack him on the campaign trail and debate stage. I suspect that's the goal of former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. But with a field this large, it makes raising the necessary cash to campaign difficult. Iowa will be the first state up. Republicans are not changing the order to benefit someone, and there will be a lot of pressure on the candidates that fail to finish in the top four to quickly drop out. By New Hampshire, the field should be winnowed down to no more than four. I believe those four will be Trump, DeSantis, Scott, and Haley. Even then, the three of them will have to take a hard look at their campaigns. The first debate will take place in Milwaukee this August. Candidates need to meet several qualifications to get on the stage. They will have to register at least 1% in 3 national polls or a mix of national and early state polling. They will have to have 40,000 unique donors with at least 200 donors per state in 20 plus states. And that is a threshold that might force some of them out rather quickly. The problem for those of us that see Trump as an anchor on the ticket in 24 is that he has a solid 25 to 30% of the primary voters that will vote for him no matter what happens. So we know that Trump will make the stage and will meet all the other qualifications. Now, there's always the chance that he will ignore the debate in August, knowing the others on the stage will have their guns pointed at him. This is the problem for Republicans. The Biden campaign wants desperately to have Trump as the opponent because they believe they can beat him. The age issue becomes less of a factor as Trump is approaching 80 years old himself. He has not shown the signs of dementia that Biden has exhibited, but he's not getting any younger himself. Then we have to move to the Democratic race and the concerns they have. The only announced challenger to Biden is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and while he's not considered a heavyweight within the party, he's pulling up numbers that concern the Biden team. Those numbers show a growing concern among Democrats that Biden is just too old. Biden, being Biden, continues to make gaffe after gaffe at the microphone, and that only adds to the age issue. Why was he saying, "God save the Queen," at the end of a speech in Connecticut? Why was he calling Chinese President Xi a dictator while at the same time his Secretary of State is trying to smooth things over with the Chinese? But that's not the biggest fear in the Biden campaign. With former President Donald Trump holding a commanding lead in the primary polls and leading or tied with President Joe Biden in general election matchups, Democrats are starting to get nervous. They're channeling that anxiety into pushback against the centrist political organization No Labels, which has pledged to raise $70 million for a possible third-party bid and to gain ballot access in all 50 states. On Capitol Hill, Democrats are pleading with Senator Joe Manchin to abandon the idea of running on the No Labels ticket. Opinion columnists are spinning out, arguing in one instance, quote, "The real danger in 2024 is not the Republican opposition, but a misguided gang of once-upon-a-time Democrats who call themselves No Labels," end quote. The progressive polling shop Data for Progress, which has done opinion polling for Biden's camp in the past, has new polling out that suggests a no labels candidate would siphon votes from Biden and enable Trump victory. The analysis relies on polling that shows independents prefer Biden to Trump in a two-way race, and that is a hypothetical three-way race that included former Maryland GOP Governor Larry Hogan. Hogan would pull more votes from the Democratic nominee than the Republican nominee. The prospect of a well-funded third-party candidate eating into Biden's vote share is alarming to Democrats because of the likelihood this will be a razor-thin race, especially if Trump is the GOP nominee. In his 2 previous runs for president, Trump has failed to reach 50% of the popular vote. He actually came slightly closer in 2020 with 46.8%, compared to 46.1% in 2016. Also fraying Democratic nerves is a fear of, and the ability to plan for, the unknown. No Labels currently has no clear policy platform, no candidate, and is not committed to running someone in the election. The dilemma for the Biden campaign is that if Trump is not the nominee, a third-party candidate is not likely, but that Republican candidate would be a more attractive choice when put up against Biden. Currently, their research shows Trump as a unique variable. Quote, there's about 20 million voters in the model that in effect say, I like Donald Trump's policies, but I don't like or want to vote for Trump. End quote. That's probably me. That suggests a third-party candidate would cut into Trump's numbers as well as Biden's. But it also means that if Trump is not the standard bearer of the Republican Party, it's much less likely that the no labels will launch a presidential candidate. At the moment, the organization doesn't believe there's much of a path to victory for a third-party candidate without Trump in the mix. And all I can say is hold on to your seat because the ride's going to get bumpy. In the end, it might be a rematch of Trump and Biden, but anything can happen. It's been Two My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.